Hello everybody, this is part 1 of What If Deku Was a Vigilante. Anyway, here we go. P.S. Mentions of suicide warning. Izuku, after being left on the roof that All Might was on, sat there for a decent few minutes until he heard an explosion, and in the back of his head he thought, I remember that. I know that explosion. And he is about to leave, but the door doesn't open. It just not opening. And Izuku tries once, 3 times, and then kicks it with his foot, and the door breaks somewhat. The door itself breaks, and the bottom part breaks open, and he goes through it and runs down and sees the fact that Bakugo was attacked by the sludge villain. But he was too late. But All Might did save him. And Izuku is walking by and saying to himself, I'm useless. I should have just fucking taken Bakugo's advice. And a man in a black suit, white hair, and red eyes walks by and sees this kid and says, it wouldn't hurt. And this man says, what's that notebook you're holding? It's my hero analysis. It was my hero analysis. Let me see. And All For One hides his shock, but this kid, hero analysis, or quirk analysis just in general, is 14 times better than anything he's seen even himself. And All For One wants to do something for this kid. Even though, yes, he's known to be a big, bad villain that kills anyone he wants, he says, kid, what do you want to be when you grow up? I wanted to be a hero, but that's not realistic. Who told you that? All Might? He says internally, I should have aimed for the dang head. Well, there wasn't probably much there anyway. And All For One says, let's just say I have experience in how heroics works, and you would be very useful in heroics. And All For One says, why am I doing this again? The probability of him going against my organization is pretty low. Going, well, doesn't have a quirk for me to steal anyway. So it wouldn't hurt to do this. And Izuku says, really? I can be a hero? Yes, it's going to take a lot of effort. But, well, you're going to need some training. So, use your status for your advantage. What do you mean? Read the law to the letter. And All For One leaves and says, I'm not giving him a quirk, because I want to see what happens first. And Izuku walks home with a bit more prep to him step. And walks home and sees his mother. They're cooking and says, honey? Honey, are you okay? You're a bit late. No, I'm fine, Mom. And Izuku heads to his room, takes off his uniform and puts on some normal sweats, because he doesn't like smelling like nitroglycerin. And he just realized that man put something in his pocket without noticing. And it reads, "Kid, I know I didn't have much time to write you this, but you're kind of, no offense, bit frail, and, well, you're pretty smart, but I'd say put some muscle on your bones, and you could be a hero." And Izuku looks up the laws on being a hero and realizes something. Wait a minute. The legal definition of a vigilante is someone that uses their quirk in a heroic manner. Wait. So I can train myself how to be a hero on the streets without any consequence? Like, it wouldn't hurt. Then the worst case scenario, they just put me in a patrol car a little, I think. Maybe. I don't know. But it wouldn't hurt to try. And Izuku finds a dump, Goba Beach, and sees the fact it's flat out a junkyard. And he says to himself, hey, some useless stuff, like myself. No, that man said my analysis wasn't useless, so I can't be useless. And Izuku walks over and sees that there's a metal pipe that pretty decently wieldy. It's about twice the size of his hand and pretty dense. And honestly, he thinks maybe using this place to train by lifting stuff around and stuff like that might help. And Izuku, over the next 4.5 days, starts using Goba Beach for training, meaning his body. For example, stamina, strength, and agility. And also uses it as a training gym. Then, on the 5th day, he thinks that maybe he's ready to do actual vigilante work. He realizes he's not really ready. And he sees a man, and man says, "Give me your money," around 11 p.m. because he went out at night. And his vigilante, or that's what he's calling himself because he doesn't really know the legal term for himself, is a greenish blue sweatshirt, brown khaki pants, and red the shoes he normally wears, and some gloves he found in his closet. And he grabbed the pipe he found at the junkyard a few days ago. Says, maybe I can help. And he sees the fact that this man's quirk seems like a transformation type where it makes his hands into fans. And he says he walks over and makes a sound because he's not used to making his steps quiet. And the guy turns around and drops the person he was mugging. And pounces on Izuku. And then Izuku, in a panic, throws the pipe and it's a headshot and knocks him out. And Zuko says, okay, that worked. Probably gonna need more experience than that, but that worked. And Zuko, he bought some, zip ties, and zip tied this man to each finger, where he basically used about 10 and about 11 zip ties, so if he tried to use his quirk, it wouldn't work. And he used a bit of his allowance to buy a dud phone that he personally hacked, where he doesn't have the best hacking ability, but he can make sure his location is, his IP is not really going to be found. And he says, sir, 911? Or 999? No. Japanese equivalent to 911. And they say, yes? Can I have a hero or a police officer come by? There's a guy on the ground that a vigilant somebody dealt with, and Zuko bolts after making that call and telling the operator where he was. And after a little bit, after the hero comes, the victim, after helped by Zuko a little, the victim says, the victim there says, that man attempted to mug me. And the hero, Eraserhead, says, can you tell me who took him down? I don't think he was a hero. He looked a little too small for that. He was short, but I didn't really get much off of that besides his voice, and the fact that he was wearing green sweatshirt, brown khaki khaki shorts, and red high tops. Okay. Hey, anything else? Well, he got a lucky shot by hitting him in the head. This man in the head with a pipe that he grabbed after. Interesting. Another vigilante. At least he doesn't purposely do harm. I honestly hope this one doesn't get killed. Aizawa says this pessimistically because, well, he's seen the good, bad, and awful that happens if you're a vigilante. For example, a great example is Skycrawler. Is a great example of a vigilante turning pro. A more under-the-ground case is, and he's kind of connected these two together because he's met Stental once, is Stental is Stain, where a vigilante turns villain. Or, where this last one is that a vigilante dies during their activities. And well, the last one is a vigilante named Blue Pearl. Blue Pearl was a vigilante. She was a young girl that had a quirk that some people called villainous. and she saved a decent amount of people, but she did die. And it was a morbid day. And Aizawa doesn't like the fact that kids are getting involved, but deals with it on a daily basis. And Aizawa heads back to the police precinct, and he sees Sakachi say, what was that mugger for? New vigilante. Or, what we think is a vigilante. He didn't give a Vigi name. Any identifying markers? Green hoodie, gray khaki pants, red high tops, and young voice, and short. Like, maybe 5 feet short, maybe a little higher. Interesting. Do you think we're gonna see him more? Maybe. I'm not sure. And back with Izuku. Izuku running away from that says, Holy shit, holy shit. Oh god, okay. That was luck. That was luck. I need to learn how to actually... Wait a minute. If that worked... He looks at the pipe that is about 25 pounds, and says, if that worked and didn't break any bones, aha. And Izuku heads back, but sees another mugging, but knocks this one out, barely, really, but knocks him out by hitting this one right between the neck and shoulder blade. And knocks him out and helps the victim. And the victim does call the police because, well, they want to make sure this guy doesn't harm them. And the same pro gets questions answered by the victim and grabs the mugger where his quirk was hair manipulation, where his hair wasn't really long, but he still had enough of it to control. And Izuku head back home and is planning to train himself for the UA entrance exam by being a vigilante. Or a quirkless person doing heroic things. There is nothing in the law saying otherwise. And that is end of part 1 of What If Deku was a vigilante. I hope you like, subscribe, and watch more of my videos. Hello everybody, this is What If Deku was a vigilante part 2. Here we go. Aizawa comes in and says, only I got the second individual in, second villain in that was caught by the new vigilante. Same description. Honestly, I think it was literally less than 30 minutes apart. And Sakachi says, any identifications of quirk or no? Not to our knowledge. Maybe a intelligence quirk that's passive? Don't know. Sakachi says, maybe a speed quirk. Aizawa says, Eraserhead says, I wouldn't say speed quirk, because there's not been reports of super speed or anything that would say that, but possible. possible. Takachi says, well, we're gonna have to wait. Actually, yeah, I'm not gonna actually put a notice for him. There's no point. I mean, he's not really done much, and yes, I prefer him not getting involved, but I'm not going to have heroes hunt him down. But anyway, yeah, Razorhead says, yeah, I'm gonna just take a 3-minute nap until I go on to finish my patrol. And he pulls his sleeping bag from God knows where and takes a nap. And back with Izuku. Izuku the next night, well, after school, getting pummeled, getting a bit beat up by Kachan. And Izuku, one thing he realized is that running a lot makes it so your body doesn't like you the next day. So he starts stretching, and he starts lifting weights at the junkyard, and he sees that there are many things. For example, in this dump, he sees the fact some hero agencies must have dumped some stuff, because he sees some old hero equipment. And yeah, he might be quirkless, so technically vigilantism isn't technically qualified. He's going to be cautious by using support equipment that's been thrown away. And he sees a jetpack similar to a pro hero that off the top of his head he can't remember, but he will at some point. And he turns it on and sees that it works. And the only thing that's damaged is the fact there's a little dent. A little dent in it. But besides that, it works perfectly. And the only thing it requires is electricity. And it's solar powered. So, Ozuki says, okay, are heroes just being wasteful, or am I not seeing the problem with this? And Izuku looks through this the support stuff that pro heroes have thrown away, and he sees many things. Like, a few things that it makes sense. A few hero costumes that are completely destroyed. But honestly, he's grabbed like a good amount of them, a good amount of the destroyed hero costumes, and brings them home in a bag, and starts dyeing them, obviously, but having a mishmash of materials. He uses a sewing machine and tries to have it so he can use the effects. For example, he found some of Death Arms' old costumes, or some broken costume, and he'll still use his pipe for now, but he has some more armor, but he's still sticking to the same color scheme. But besides that, he's also capable of running a little bit faster over the past day and a half. So he feels tonight, right after the night he did his first night of vigilantism, is a bit better because he's a bit more experienced, but he's not going to say he is ready. So he looks up and sees that there's a fire escape and thinks, should I run over the rooftops? Wouldn't hurt to try some popcorn. And when he gets up there, he sees a very far way down. and sees, well, if I fall, there's only a plus side here. And he says that suicidal joke to himself, and he makes it by a hair's length over. And Izuku keeps jumping like that, barely getting to it, and hears about two people attacking a woman, and here, please, don't. And those two say, come on. You know you want to. And Izuku can see what's happening, and he doesn't know why, but his hand, and he doesn't notice, but when Izuku sees this, his grip gets tighter to the point where the metal of the pipe starts to slightly dent. And Izuku jumps off of the roof, landing weirdly perfectly, besides the fact he knows later that he's going to need to make sure his ankles didn't break, and walks quietly to the back of them and kicks both of them in the crotches. And then knocks both of them out with a headshot to both of them with 2 headshots to the head, and both of them go unconscious. And he says, Miss, are you okay? Yeah, I'm okay. Okay. Do you mind calling the police? I'll get these people tied up. And Izuku grabs his zip ties and literally zip ties their hands both these guys' hands together. For example, guy one of the guy, like both their wrists are zip tied together. They're in an uncomfortable way. But well, Izuku, yes, he's a nice person, but he has heard stories and doesn't like people that try to force them onto other people. And Izuku unties both of the man's shoes and ties their shoes together, literally, meaning that their shoes are tied so well that if they try to walk, their shoes are tied together, so they're not going to get much of anywhere. Izuku says, are you going to be okay? And she says, what's your vigilante name? Green. Okay. And Izuku leaves. And he calls the police, and a hero comes out, and Izuku left a little note on what happened, because he can write that decently quickly. When Aizawa Eraserhead gets there, he sees these two and sees the girl that looks shivering, and as Eraserhead says, sometimes I wish I didn't become a hero. And he asks what happened, and she says that 2 men attempted to mug her. But when Eraserhead looks down and hears the same description and sees a sticky note, and it reads, "To the police or pro heroes, these two individuals tried to sexually assault this young woman. I may or may not have roughened them up a little bit. My apologies. And she sees the note and shivers, and she said, I didn't mean... As Eraserhead says, that I'm not going to give you crap for falsifying that. I'm not going to do that. I'm not that kind of person. And he files a report and basically makes sure that what her original statement is just changed from mugging to attempted sexual assault. And Eraserhead says, so his vigilante name is Green? That's what he said. Okay. And when Eraserhead reaches the department to bring these two schmucks to it, Shukachi says, I heard over the call, all those two bastards attempted to, oh yeah, don't worry, they're going to be filed to court for it, and well, let's just say this. Her quirk is passive recording, meaning that she can record anything that happens to her. So, good luck winning that case. They're going to have a miracle winning that case. And Sakachi says, so I presume it's this mysterious vigilante that's been around for the past 2 days. Really? It's only been 2 days? Yeah, it has. I've only seen this new vigilante, description greenish blue, khaki pants, and red high tops. The model, it's the same person because I can tell from the report, but he changed his costume a little bit. He now has khaki pants, not khaki shorts. Okay. Anything else? And it looks like that he's somewhat reinforced his costume. Well, at least he's getting smart. Sakachi says that sarcastically and says, honestly, I just want these kids off the streets. If he's getting better equipment, we should actually attempt to try to find this kid. Eraserhead says, this kid hasn't done anything overzealous. He's only gotten muggers and attempted sexual assault. Honestly, I'll wait. If he's still around in a week, I'll do something about it. If you want to file paperwork to have a hero go after him, go for it. Sakachi says, Racer, can you at least just look if you hear or see him, may or may not question him or try to capture him, maybe? Sakachi, there's a low possibility this kid will even be around in a week. You know the proper protocol. If we see the kid, yeah, I'll attempt to catch him. But I'm not going to look for him because there's a highly possibility that he won't even be here in a week. Good point. But from this report, he must have a shock absorption quirk or some sort that makes it so he can handle falls that high, because only trained professionals can do that, right? Yeah. I've been able to jump from that distance onto ground, but I still feel it. But anyway, I'm going to go back to my patrol. Go for it. Or I'll file the paperwork. But you sign your part of the paperwork too. And Eraserhead says, paperwork. The bane of every hero's existence. And back with Izuku. Izuku goes on the rooftops and he says, how did I do that? Do I have a quirk? No, I don't. So how did I bend metal? And he sees a person being mugged, and when he attempts to go down there, he sees a hero or vigilante, he doesn't know, take him down, and he uses a grappling hook to get up and says, I presume you're not a hero. You look a little short for one. And the individual looks like he's full black outfit with a belt and well, he has black boots, black everything, and the kid says, Izuku says, are you a hero? And the guy says, no. Oh, I presume we're both in the same situation? What? Oh, we're both vigilantes. Yeah. Izuku says, yeah, I'm not going to tell him that I'm quirkless. And the guy says, interesting. Honestly, Sleeve, if you ever see a quirkless person, or have to, God forbid, fight one, P.S. the more bulky they are, the harder they are to fight. And Izuku says, aren't they quirkless? Yes, but unless they magically are below, not even first generation strength, from my observations, I've seen quirkless people do things that many people would say it's impossible without a quirk. Just saying. And the guy says, oh yeah, my name's Black Arrow. Black Arrow? Or Black Ace is what the cops call me. Cops and pros call me. And Black Ace goes in the other direction. And Izuku just stands there bewildered. Because if that's true, he's going to test if that is true. And he looks around for people to save and sees that a store is being robbed. It looks like a gas station, and Izuku says, can I handle a robbery? At least if I do die here, it's not going to mean anything in the long run. And Izuku goes in to the store and sees the cashier, a guy with a gun hand quirk, saying, give me your money. And the individual says, okay. And he gives the money to the guy and says, ha! And Izuku walks very quietly, and the cashier just says, and Izuku thinks of a childish idea, and he grabs the very much not hidden underwear that is not covered by this villain's pants, and he gives this villain a very aggressive wedgie. And the villain says, Who the fuck? And Izuku shoots him in the face, and the villain attempts to fight back with a bone hands quirk, or that's what Izuku thinks. But Izuku punches this man straight in the jaw, and he falls to the floor. And Izuku checks for a pulse, and there is still a pulse there. And Izuku says, Hello everybody, this is What If Deku Was a Vigilante, Part 3. Here we go. After his really second night to being a vigilante, he goes out every day, at least keeping an eye on the streets. Each day he at least takes down one mugger. But in the past, it's been 8 days since he started, and today has been his busiest. Because today he's already stopped 27 muggings. 27 in the past 1 hour and 29 minutes. It's not even been a full hour and 30 minutes. And Izuku says, oh boy, I don't think I have the endurance for all this. Hey, better I do this, the more chances I have being able to pass the UA entrance exam. And he sees a villain breaking into a grocery store, and he says, one thing is that we need more pros at night, because it seems like there's no more villains at night. And Izuku goes in and sees one of his favorite pros, Eraserhead, in there. And he sees Eraserhead surrounded. And one thing that Izuku's added to his repertoire is a few weapons that he found in the dumpster. In the dump of Godoba Beach. For example, a weapon... It's a mishmash of water hoses. This is hose, and a few other gadgets from different heroes. That he's gotten pretty good, besides a few mishaps on using. And he uses this liquid he made that basically acts like it's a mix of a solid and a liquid, where if you step in it, it's a liquid, but if it hits you, let's just say it's a solid that feels like steel. And Izuku fires this at the villains, and the villains fall down, and Eraserhead sees green, or what people are now calling him, the Green Shadow, because the only two things that, besides the description they can get, is the fact that no pro hero has ever seen him, besides right now. And Izuku walks in and says, Eraserhead, I believe you need help, and there's a lot of them here today. And as Eraserhead says, kid, for the love of everything in this world, please tell me you're not doing this with barely any experience. I would say I'm not inexperienced, Eraserhead-san. And Eraserhead's just not even surprised at this point that the Green Shadow knows his hero name. And for the next few hours, Izuku and Aizawa fight over 20 villains, and yes, Izuku is not as good as Aizawa, but he's learning quick. And Izuku tries to catch his breath after a good few hours of fighting. It didn't have a decent swarm of villains, and says, as Eraserhead says, "That's pretty good for a vigilante that's only been around for barely a week. That's been around for around a week and a day." Eraserhead, kid, I'm not going to detain you, because honestly, you saved my butt there. As much as I do not want to admit it, you saved my butt there. Also, the fact that, technically speaking, I haven't seen you use a quirk. So, that's also an issue. So that means I can go? No, we're going to head to the station to have you. I'm going to ask you a few questions as a station now. No thank you. And Izuku books it. And Aizawa says, "Well, damn it." Which I thought that would work. Because, technically speaking, Aizawa doesn't have any legal standing to detain in the Green Shadow. Because, well, technically speaking, what he is doing is not illegal. Because Aizawa has not seen in the Green Shadow use a quirk, so that means he cannot be charged with vigilantism. Also, the fact that they're also in a public place, so you can't even charge him with trespassing. Also, the fact that his little gunk thing disappears over after a minute, so that means that he can't even charge him with littering, even though that's the pettiest reason. So, Eraserhead says, "Well, I have more important things to think about instead of a vigilante that is a curiosity." And Izuku says, "Oh goodness, hopefully Eraserhead doesn't hate me for that. But anyway, time to help more people." And Izuku, this is the night that he becomes more well known to the police. It's because this is the fact that he has taken down over 50 villains by himself. Yes, in separate fights, but still. And also the fact that he tends to adapt to situations. And Eraserhead says, "Yes, it's my full report, Sakachi. So you're telling me that this kid was capable of doing all this with what looked like parts that he found in a dump?" "I think so. I'm not completely sure." Okay. Anyway, we've cataloged and processed every villain that he and you have dealt with tonight. So go home. Tomorrow I'm going to have a thing for Green Shadow, because I would like to have him questioned because I want him off the street. I would like him off the streets. And Eraserhead says, "Well, I'm going to head to bed." And Eraserhead goes to bed, and later after school, because it's a Friday, the event happened on a Thursday, Izuku at night sees the fact that there isn't as many villains compared to yesterday, but still there's a decent amount. And Izuku's gotten pretty good. And also the fact that, weirdly enough, it's not the fact he has a quirk, but he's curious on how his body is gaining muscle, not ridiculous, not inhumanly, well, it feels like a little bit inhumanly quickly, but not stupidly and quickly. For example, he's always been able to heal quickly, but it's never been classified as a quirk. So he goes to the internet and Googles, why do I have stuff not compared to my quirk? And Izuku reads, mutations not based on quirk factor. And he reads that many people have different mutations that may not even revolve their quirk at all. For example, a trait from their grandparents, their parents, or etc. A quirkless individual, for example, hypothetically, can have ears that work similar, can have rabbit ears, but still be classified as quirkless because they have no quirk factor. Izuku says, interesting, so... And Izuku Googles how can you get this tested, and goes and sees that there is a place that only charges 10,000 yen, and to get tested if you have a mutation not based on quirk factor. And Izuku, during the day, after school, goes to this clinic, and basically he puts his ID down and says, can I get checked for partially mutation abilities? And the employee at the register says, you're quirkless. Technically, the policy does not disqualify people without quirks, even though, technically speaking, I highly doubt you have anything. And Izuku gets tested, and Izuku has two things going for him. Is the fact that he has mutated tear glands that have the capability of producing more water to the point where it can flood an area of a apartment in under 2 seconds, under a minute. Also, he has altered stamina and strength, where he can gain in strength / muscle faster than the average person, and the fact that he can gain stamina than the average person. And the scientist says, interesting. So basically, he has... Interesting. And Izuku grabs the lab results and says, can I keep this private? And the scientist says, yes, we can. Thanks to the fact you mention it. Legally speaking, we have to if you request it. And Izuku says, why sound down? You're honestly one of the first people to actually attend this. And this and the fact you're quirkless yourself. Elf is honestly a good bone for the project, because many people think this isn't true, but it is. For example, your mutated tear glands, and this is a great example. And I presume you said that your mother has them as well. And yes, hair color is an old example of it. You don't need a quirk to have different hair colors that are not completely natural. For example, people have bubblegum pink hair, and may not even relate to their quirk nowadays. But back in the day, just having pink hair would have been considered a meta ability or quirk, if you go farther enough in history. And this scientist explains the fact that with his research, he believes that anyone, unless born with quirkless family throughout, has the chance of having a mutation in their bloodline. For example, if a hero similar to Miriko has children, they'll have a very, very high chance of having rabbit ears, even if it doesn't relate to their quirk. Nezuko says, interesting. What would you say would be the easiest for me to build up speed and muscle? Oh, pretty simple. Just work out, run more, and I'd say eat a decent diet. Because apparently someone in your... Wait a minute. He reads something else and says, you have a decent, I wouldn't say high resistance, but a decent-ish resistance to fire / anything involved in heat as well. Okay, that makes some sense. And Izuku thinks about it and thinks, yeah, burns heal faster than in frost. Because at least with him, he's always been burned by Bakugo enough times to realize how quickly a normal burn will heal. For example, the burn he got on the day Bakugo told him to take Swan Dive took him only 3 days to heal completely. And Izuku says, how is this not considered a quirk? And the guy says, you do not have any quirk factor, meaning the fact that you have these mutations doesn't matter. You are considered quirkless. But anyway, if you want to ask more questions, you can. And here's my phone number. Here's my phone number. And he puts his card there, and Izuku says, thank you, sir. And Izuku leaves and says, interesting. Very, very interesting. And Izuku heads home and sleeps for his patrol at night. And that is end of part 3 of What If Deku was a Vigilante. I know I'm using many different things from different fic authors. And if anyone wants to mention in the comments anything I'm doing, please tell me. But I am trying my best to make my own ideas. Anyway, please like and subscribe, and thank you. Hello everybody. Today is part 4 of What If Deku was a Vigilante, and, well, here we go. Izuku wakes up a little later after a little nap, because honestly at 11 p.m. there wasn't much, so he went out at 12 and found something interesting. Found 10 people in an alleyway in the middle of a drug deal. He doesn't really believe he has the strength to deal with all of them, but, well, you can't say that he can't say that unless he tries. And Izuku sees that he recognizes the drug that they're trading for money is Trigger, because he's seen some crooks with Trigger, the famous black tongue. And Izuku says, well, I got my support gun, and my reinforced uniform, and, well, hopefully this works. And Izuku blasts his gun, where basically he fires 2 shots at each, and he mostly gets a decent amount of them. But out of the few that are left, there's 3 that look mostly dangerous. One with a knife arm quirk, where basically it's a transformation where from the elbow to the wrist turns to a literal knife/sword. To the guy that bulked up with a normal strength enhancer. And Izuku uses a different function of the gun and blinds the strength enhancer for a second and goes for the knees and hit both of his knees with his famous pipe. And then he goes after the knife guy, and he's having a bit of trouble, but he deals with him shortly after he sees the fact that one of his arms looked like they had an injury, and he aims for the weaker arm, and he puts that guy face in the dirt. Then he looks at all the zip ties he has and says, hopefully I have enough zip ties. And Izuku zip ties every single villain there and looks at the trigger and says, no. He grabs a little vial of it because he is wearing very good gloves to the point where his fingerprints won't be shown. And, well, the villains / heroes might not know. And Izuku goes home and uses a microscope that he bought with his own money to see what's under the microscope. And it looks similar to, from what he understands, adrenaline. But he's curious how this would affect him being quirkless. But it could just be inert, thanks to the fact that there's nothing to attach to. But Izuku ain't really taking chances, and just puts this in a box that he's going to hide at the back of his closet. And before he went home, he called all the police and heroes and left. And Razorhead goes on the scene and says, well, Green Shadow strikes again. Any description? And after Aizawa helps the police put the villains in and keeps an eye on the stock, it says, how many vials were supposed to be here, Bill? Has to be here. Well, we were supposed to get at least 9, and maybe 10. I'm not sure. Or the boss didn't tell me much. There's only 9 here. Well, the boss only gave us 9. Well, he only said the free sample would be good for good behavior. And Aizawa talks to the snitch. Not the fact that he snitched, but he's just trying to get a good deal for his sentence. And Aizawa says, interesting. Apparently, he has some more support equipment. That gun he likes to use. Illegal support equipment. Yay. Well, I wouldn't say that. Because there's a difference from illegal and non-licensed. Shorikochi says, really? And also the fact that whoever he got that from is pretty smart and probably knows what they're doing. Good point. Anyway, what are you going to try to go after the Green Shadow or no? Oh, Eraserhead. Personally, I don't want to, but, well, he's been around longer than a week, so I'll go look for him more. Sakachi says, okay. Now, from what we report, he has decent speed, good at fighting tactics, but his age range is from probably the age of a person that got denied by hero school, or maybe a little younger. Actually, we considered having this Green Shadow be a shorter person in the age group of 20 or at minimum 17 or maybe 16-ish. And while there's a decent chance that he could be a bit younger, but he did get trained for this. And, to be completely honest, Eraser, besides the fact that he has green sweatshirt, green khaki pants, and red high tops, there's not really much else. Eraser says, wait a minute. Isn't it that nowadays there's been let me rephrase that. Isn't it not true that only quirkless people wear high tops? We can't tell what type of high tops they are, because, no offense, I don't think you're really looking at the shoes when you're fighting. And it's a possibility that even if, hypothetically speaking, Green Shadow was quirkless, even though that's not possible, he would need to have red high tops in a particular way, and in the dark it would be near impossible to really tell, because there's also a brand of shoes that help people with mutations in the feet that are similar but different to the second toe joint. But honestly, I highly doubt Green Shadow's quirkless. Have you used your quirk on him, Eraser? No, I haven't. But I didn't really even try. But one thing is that he's pretty fast and decently strong for, I would say, had to be below 18. Well, we at least got an age range, male, know his height a little, and what he wears during his vigilante work. Besides that, that's all the information we have, besides the fact he stays in Masatafu. Besides that, well, we'll see. And Izuku, during his vigilante night 10, he mostly looks around and keeps an eye on the streets. Eats between the hours of 11 p.m. and 3 to 4 a.m. because Izuku has always been an insomniac. Yes, he might have a very cheery personality, but that cheery personality has a lot of sleepy nights because of the fact that, well, all the trauma of being bullied has its tolls and nightmares. But, well, he looks around and sees a perch snatcher, and Izuku jumps from the roof of the building, lands right in front of them, and trips the purse thief, and says, and he gives the purse to the lady, and he calls police and pro heroes because he tends to do this every single time. And he says, lady, I don't mean to take your time, but can you please stay here to make sure he doesn't get out free? And the woman says, well, at least when heroes are here, heroes slash police are here, I'll be a little bit more safe. And he says, do you want me to stay here until the heroes get are you not a hero? Oh, no, I am a vigilante. Oh, okay. Okay. And Izuku zip ties this villain's hands and feet together because this man apparently had a quirk that allowed him to spin his ankles and wrists, and Izuku did not want him to break out by using his spinny feet. And Izuku leaves and sees the fact that he's been getting better over the past 10 days. He's gotten a little bit more bulk on. Not much, but decent amount. And for the rest of the night, Izuku does... There's not really much to say. Besides a mugging here or there. And just not really much until stuff happens. And Eraserhead finds the purse snatcher and says, he calls the police every single time. Lady, are you okay? Yeah? Do you know the vigilante with green sweatshirt with a weird device on his back or right hip? I didn't really see the weird device, but I did see him in green sweatshirt, khaki pants, and red shoes. Oh, shoot, and whatever. Anyway, you don't have anything to worry, ma'am. Do you want me to help you or one of the police officers to bring you home? That would be preferable. And Aizawa helps the cops arrest the mugger, and honestly, the only thing that this vigilante has helped the Eraserhead with is the fact that, well, he's helped him in a big fight, and the fact that he's made somewhat part of his job a little easier, because heroes get paid in a few different ways. There are the somewhat hourly you work, / the amount of ranking, unless you're underground hero. Then, in the amount of arrests, backing, and amount of crimes you've solved. And it's somewhat of commission-based, and this Green Shadow has helped Aizawa with the fact that he's gained a decent amount, thanks to the fact he's the one that has to sign all of these arrests. Because Green Shadow isn't a pro hero, so Aizawa has to be the one that signs the paperwork as the pro hero, or that formally arrests them. It's a weird thing, but Aizawa, if he could change it, he would have already done so. Oh. And Aizawa, Eraserhead says, "Sakachi, I'm gonna head to bed." And Sakachi says, "I still have more paperwork to figure out thanks to the fact that this Green Shadow is coming up. Anything on that?" "Well, not really." That's a bummer. And that is the end of this part. I know this was more of a slower one, but I don't feel like it should be fastened yet. But anyway, please like, subscribe, and watch more of my videos. Anyway, goodbye. Hello everybody, this is part 5 of What If Deku Was a Vigilante, and here we go. This will be a short video. Deku, or his Vigi name, Green Shadow, is what he's heard. This will be nearly his second week being a vigilante. And, well, this is mostly a whole thing he's recording in his notebook. So, anyway, over the past few days, he's been getting pretty good at being helpful, even without a quirk. And Izuku thinks, maybe I can enhance my support equipment. Izuku goes grabs a few things from the dump, and grabs all of his stuff and brings it to his room back at home. And Izuku makes his pole retractable, where basically he can make it as small as can fit in his hands, or as big as himself. And Izuku says, well, let's do a form of recap for the past few days. For example, I have taken down 29 muggers in the past few days. These 2 different drug deals that I've stopped, and a decent amount of litter I have properly disposed of. I think that's pretty good for nearly 2 weeks, and well, at least it's done being useful. And Eraserhead, looking at the paperwork this Green Shadow is making, Sakachi says, well, that's what happens when Vigilante becomes decently well known. And Eraserhead says, how many bloody arrests is he involved in? I believe it's been 243 arrests at this point over the past 2 weeks. How the hell was that even possible? Well, we don't know what Green Shadow's quirk is, but many of us presume it's a form of speed quirk. Eraserhead says, I've been looking for this kid for a while, and the only time I've ever seen him in person was when he and I fought together against that big thing at that big fight a few days ago. And Sakachi says, well, you're the only person that's ever gotten close enough to see him. And Eraserhead says, well, then, let's do some more, or I'll do some more reconnaissance on Green Shadow. And that is the end of this part. I very much do know that this is a very short part to What If Deku Was a Vigilante. But I have been running out of ideas for this series. Even though this series has more potential. Anyway, please like and subscribe, and thank you.